Thank you very much for joining. So we are going to try to discuss in this 45 to an hour meeting something related to how to make, basically how to choose your tech partner in global business. So let me introduce Diego, which is basically the CEO of Rootstack, CTO of Rootstack, and then myself as business developer. Go ahead, Diego.
Yeah, hi. I am Diego Tejeda, the CTO of Rootstack. And yeah, we will be talking on this talk about this topic, which it is, choosing a technology partner. And so Juan, I'll let you start.
Absolutely. So let's move on.
Yeah.
All right. So regarding, first of all, what is Rootstack? Just to let you know a little bit more about our company. So we're a company that is based, our headquarters in Panama. We have around 10 years now operating with different type of branches, which is really good, around 100 plus employees. And we're basically operating with Latin American accounts, United States and Canada, and large corporations, which is basically what we are trying to start with. So Rootstack, it's one of the great things here is that we are being able to evolve with our clients. We have been able to advance, trying to help them with not only just one model. We're basically trying to advance with different type of high quality standards for our clients, delivering high complexity projects, trying to be great technology partners for them, and trying to have very high standards, again, to let you know that a company as Rootstack is able to become really a partner. And this is one of the biggest topics and biggest challenges nowadays. And I'm not only just saying about what happened, 2 years ago, starting with COVID, but it's also what we have been facing along in the business and the IT business industry, software development industry. So let's try to advance a little bit on what is really relevant about this talk. So we are a company, that has basically several type of verticals, and we have been able to develop and advance with banking industry, financial services, entertainment, sport, and among others. I don't want to list it because you can see them, but there's a lot of useful case studies that demonstrate, what we have been able to accomplish along this 5 to 10 years since we started. We constantly try to evolve again, because that's one of the main things and main concerns that we can see in this industry is everything moving very, very fast. And just to begin our topic, we want to just give you a sense of what is the main agenda for this, for today. So we wanted to start basically thinking of why work with a technology partner. I mean, what is the importance of working for a technology partner? Then factors to consider when you're choosing a technology partner, type of services in the industry, good practices, communications and trainings, right? And then we can also see that how to implement it in companies step by step, things that you will get without cost. So that's additional topics. So those basically are the main topics that we are going to discuss today. So hope you enjoy it. All right, so to begin with, so we're going to say that why work with a technology partner? So most of the time, and what you have to realize is that in the world, unfortunately, in the real world technology, unfortunately, not everything is a bed of roses. So as you can see, there are many things that are coming across the clients, various situations, a variety of new technologies that are coming up. And there are a lot of things that are generating, like pure and poor executed projects. And when I say poorly executed projects, meaning like undefine the right needs at the beginning of a project, the right ideas, try to understand what is the main objective of the company. So let's say from the client's perspective, they might have a view, but that view has probably a lack of communication in between. So the vendors probably need to really go deep in that idea and try to understand so that they can move forward with additional and very successful, not only resources, but also understanding of the business. So that is one of the main things that we wanted to cover. Frankly speaking, this is why essentially when you are evaluating a profile of partners, you can probably face the big question mark that comes ahead is, what type of company am I approaching? I know that there's going to be a need of having a company that I can rely on, and attending on the size of the company, I need to understand, well, what is my counterpart, and what is essentially where I can go and move forward. In terms of technology, obviously, and speaking about my need as a client. Now, one of the points here is essentially not to conceive yourself working with a client. It's basically a partner, and it's a company which is specialized, and they're really well known on how they deliver. They can accomplish what they promise. They can constantly, remind and try to go back and forward with the client to understand, or the partner to understand, what can be better from both ends. How can I learn a lot from you guys that probably are the experts, but in the other hand, we are able to learn from the business perspective. So this is also important to consider. And aside from that, there are other things, not least to understand, and it's probably the factors to consider before choosing, right? So this is something that I say. I don't know, Diego, if you have any additional point here to add.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks for asking, Juan. Yeah. So in regards to what Juan said and what we're seeing here, we also consider a couple of things that are important in terms of cost. Obviously, because even though if you compare maybe on a specific region, working with having an employee that does something against, or working with a third party, it could be more costly per hour if you're working on the same region. But for example, in our case, that we are in Latin America, it will be the cost will be lower if you work with a third party like us on a project, compared to having someone full-time as an employee of the company. Also, you have teams that could be ad hoc, and what I mean by that is that you will not always need everyone or a complete team for the whole year or permanently, right? So working with a partner is also a good idea, because you can just get the people and talent that you need when you need it. And also the other part is finding the right talent, right? Because having someone on your own team, it's always hard. And I'm not saying that no one should work at any company. I'm saying that if you need a specialist or someone for one specific task, maybe it make more sense on that moment to work with a third party than spending months and just finding someone that you just need for something specific.
Absolutely, Diego. There is also something important to say here, is that we have to consider, cultural differences, among other point and relevant point here, finding the right talent. When I say this, it's because we're definitely global business, and then plus a global business, we are able to identify different locations that can probably impact and affect the final result of what a customer is looking for. So the factors to consider before choosing is, the first thing is, okay, I'm looking for a company as a vendor who is being a partner with that much experience what have been the most complex problem that the partner has solved in the previous projects. So whenever you are starting a conversation, you can notice that you need to feel confidence. You need to feel that that company is able to provide and to be there more than anything, to be there to solve your needs. This is changing, and we cannot just imagine that it's going to be a perfect scenario, starting point, end point, and nothing is going to happen in between. So that is something that we consider it's going to be a total success if we identify it in an early stage. So the second part is the innovation, right? So what is that company that you're looking to partner with? It's doing to grow and to advance. How they invest on their talent, how do they invest on innovation, which is basically, does the partner think outside of the box, or just doing the same thing as other companies are doing without any type of additional value that they can get out of? Then the work of a methodology, which is something that I know our expert Diego may tell us more about it. And it's how internally as CTO, can he manage the daily expectations, What is the company culture and practices? And what is additionally, what if I choose a wrong technology partner? How it affects the productivity quality? So Diego, this is, I think, one of the main concerns that customer may be looking for, is what am I dealing in terms of my people, my talent, my company? What are we offering versus what exactly am I receiving?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, exactly. So I have some slides about it, Juan, after this, which is regards in terms of good practices. But I will say that, yeah, it's really important when choosing someone to make sure not just that they say that they know to do this or that. It's more than just that. It's what's their culture, how they behave, what are their processes in terms of how do you communicate, how do you proceed if you encounter an issue, and all of that things are very important and should be considered when choosing or thinking about starting to work with someone, besides just the technical skills that the company or group of people could have.
Absolutely. There is also one thing to consider, and is not only just providing talent. As you know, we're human beings and we are able to adapt, but we really need to understand culturally how our talent can be a fit in different circumstances to the account that we are trying to propose that candidate. So it's a win-win proposal. It's going to be something that's going to be a working balance between both parts. The candidate should be able to understand from the day one, or at least the first part of the onboarding, how they're going to be a great asset to the company that they're joining. And the other side, we as a company are responsible and very accountable to do that process smoothly, so that our people can understand also the need of from the business perspective. So that is also something that we have to balance. We have to manage other things related to, for example, holidays, holidays in different locations, try to see that can impact. We can also try to identify how we could mitigate those type of times, shifting times between regions that can affect and are affecting, some of the projects that normally we try to execute. How is the communication? Is it accurate to use correctly, the type of tools that are on the market, so that we can have a much better communication, and that we can also work upon those people that has a lack of communication, right? So everything is, gradually improving, and that's how we have to see it from day one. Everything can be done better to try to get the velocity and the speed that we are looking for in a team. Try to keep the people motivated. That is also, if you feel that in a company your people are not getting motivated internally, well, they cannot transpass that into probably the clients, or vice versa. Probably the client or the partner is not really motivating their team correctly. So that is probably affecting, type of the velocity, motivation. There can be attrition, things like that. That can probably be something that if as a company, we try to do it at Rootstack and we are able to conduct that conversations. So it's something that is not least and we can advance. Okay. Now, what are the types of services in the industry? So what do we offer? Not just a company, but basically what is something that we need to consider. So I think one of the main, goals and the main results that we have identified along this time in the industry is that we can provide staff augmentation, which is probably one of our models or services that we provide. So we handle all recruiting processes and rapidly provide high quality professionals, technology to make your project reality. So more and more, I want just to stop here because more and more, all these type of companies that probably try to find the right fit are struggling on that bottleneck of finding, who is here, who is available, what type of new, framework languages, things like that are being more effective and demanded on a day-to-day basis. But those are, some of the things that we need to guarantee that this type of model of staff augmentation is done smoothly with responsibility, with talent. We can basically have, the benefit of the staff augmentation is the qualified talent would be proven experience, start immediately, deep food expertise, obtain the flexibility you need. Sometimes you need to just to, do a project and that will be it. And to have the flexibility of staffing people, reducing the team, or maybe try in a certain point of time, grow again. So we are able to adapt to those changes. Okay.
Do you want me to move to the next one? Yes.
Pardon?
Do you want me to move to the next slide?
Yeah, well, let's try to move on for the next one.
Okay.
Yes. We also have, Rootstack, managed teams, which is something that we know it works sometimes better. So depend case by case, we need to identify what can work better for our partners, for our new customers. So Rootstack provide a complete team with the profile you need to manage or execute your project while you focus on your core business. Sometimes I don't want to mess with so much things, management and everything. So we rely on the company as Rootstack to jump into that conversation and say, okay, I think I've heard what I want to hear, and I'm able to advance on the real, confidence relation of giving my part for you guys to manage those teams and to deliver correctly later on. So that can be another option to free internal, the benefits of that is to free internal resources, then obtain quality project supervision, take advantage of qualified managed skills, jumpstart your project, work with expert engineers. So that is always good. Having people with enough knowledge of what they're doing, prioritizing the project and the main epics of those projects to deliver with a lot of consistency. So that is something that we also do. And there's another one. Please, Diego, tell me. There's I would say this is the next one, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, project-based.
Yep, it's a project-based model. So the Rootstack manage your project from start to finish, working with the best talent in the industry that makes full ownership of your needs and delivering unparalleled results. So that is, the benefits of this is to improve performance and productivity, reduce risk, start working right away, and work with experts in their field.
Okay, so good practices with partners. Basically, what we do here is whenever you're looking to work with someone, things that we consider that you at least should ask to those possible partners to make a decision to see if it's a good decision to go with them. The first one is this: does the company, the tech partner, has any procedures in place on how to react when something happens? And here are a couple of examples, right? And this is besides the development workflow, or if you have a ticketing systems or whatever. It's more about if something happens, does the company knows how to react? Let's say a website gets hacked, something goes down, there's a data breach. The question is, does the tech partner will be able to help you in these situations because they already have a plan in place for all of this? And again, normally the companies, the tech partners have like a standard procedure, but for special situations, you should work with them to create procedures for the specific situation, right? But that's very important. You just don't want to improvise whenever something happens. The second part is also in regards to the same thing. It's besides having a project manager and a flow and all of that, does the company has a way to make sure that they're doing everything that they need to do on very specific situations, or if they don't, do they plan to do that on their workflow? Because sometimes every case is different. But for example, here is a couple of samples, right? Let's say that you're about to launch a website. Does the company has a plan, a checklist, something to follow? If the company is going to work on a data migration project, does it has a way to tackle the problem in terms of how we're going to do it? And not just as a project, but as the company that has done this before knows what questions to ask, what route to take. Also, let's say when you're starting a project, also the company should have some kind of procedure to know, hey, do I need to ask the client for infrastructure? Do I need to ask for a Git repository, or ask them where should we store the code, and all of that stuff that are done on a daily basis? Is a company not improvising and has a way to deliver all of these things on a consistent way, right? Because at the end, we are all composed by teams and persons that can change in the time. But what cannot change is the way the company or the partner does things. And this is a good way to be prepared for that. Coding practices, this is also important to ask, is does the company has any coding practices, or are they just going to throw people at a project and see what happens? And here are some examples that some companies have, like how do you name your variables? On what language do you do your comments or annotations? Also, how do the company always decide to do their folder structure? And this is important again because besides just coding good and doing the way, there's not correct way, but what I mean, besides having like general coding practices, that there should be also like a coding culture defined. And it's also in regards to what I said here, which is people can change over time. People can come inside a project, and so if you have a standard, it's easier to read the code whenever you're coming in and out or a project, or know exactly. We as a company always like to put the images in this folder and name it this way, or something like that. That way, when you have some kind of a standard, you know that things will look similar, and it's easier for the teams to work on this, whether they've been forever on the project or they're just starting, right? Because there's already practices and a culture and a standard on the way that things are being done. And it sometimes is better, in my opinion, to have, let's say, something that everyone knows and good documentation than just trying to have latest, greatest paradigm or technology or whatever on a project. Even if it's newer and better, because this way, you know that it's going to be consistent, right? And that doesn't mean you cannot evolve over the time. But what I mean is that as long as the company has some kind of coding and practices and culture in regards to this, it's going to be way easier and more consistent, the quality of the products that are being delivered. And this is also another example for this, which is having some kind of boilerplates or templates. In our case, for example, something that we do is that, let's say we're working with React, for example, which is front-end JavaScript framework. We've done a lot of React projects, and we have done we have encountered a lot of good things and bad things when we use different tools, right? So at this point, we were able to build some kind of set of tools or things that we know that works pretty well and that has helped us every time on different projects. So whenever we need to do something new, we know, hey, let's use this set of things that we know that work pretty well. We have used it in the past. And this is important because even if everyone is expert on the technology and they're starting on a project, you don't want them to improvise and say, what's the newest framework that seems cool? Let's use that. And then you find issues, right? And same thing again, that doesn't mean that you should not evolve, but having a baseline is always good because the risks are lower and people should be able to work faster because they are used to different things. Okay, so next one here is documentation. Same thing, it all goes on the same way. Does the company is prepared and it has and there's no dependency on anyone on the team, and that's what we, at least we try to do, which it is, how do we reduce the dependency of everyone in the company in a good way, right? Because if someone is already really busy, or if someone leaves the company or someone joins the company, you don't want the project or the team to be affected, right? So having coding practices and set of tools that we know that work and documentation about how to do the things makes the teams way more effective. And that's something that needs to be to consider, because let's say you're asking for a quote on two companies to work on a project which is being billed by the hour, right? One is half the price of the other, but it will take them 3 times to do the same thing that it will take to the one that it's more expensive. And at the end, it can be more expensive to have the one with lower prices, because they will improvise all of these things that the other team will do way more stuff in less time. So this already Juan explained a little bit, but technology partners have 3 ways of working normally. One is just doing staff augmentation and resource work with you, with part of your team. The other one is managed teams. If you have a agile project and you want a complete team, normally that's what we and others offer, which is like putting a team together and build them by the month. And the other one, which is the more conventional one, is I have a project with a specific set of requirements. The tech partner quotes a specific amount, and the project should come for that price, as long as the scope doesn't change. And I don't know why this is here again, so sorry about this. And then the last part is this communication and training. This is also, again, part of the culture, right, of the companies. It's stuff people should ask when hiring someone like us or other companies, which it is. Does the company has good communication? Is there any culture in regards to that? That's really, really important. Every company, it's different, and there's no correct way of doing it. But the important thing is how, if they do it at all and have some kind of culture. For example, here, what we do is that regardless there's stand-ups or anything on a project, everyone on the channels, on the chat system, leave a message of what they accomplished at the end of the day, regardless there's a stand-up or not. And we have weekly statuses on projects, and we also try to have on our onboarding and then follow-up meetings with everyone, to remind them that, hey, communicate everything as soon as possible. If you encounter a problem, please communicate this. If you're blocked, please communicate it. And if you're having an issue with someone, please communicate it. And this is really important, right? Because we're working with, at the end at the end, we're working with your money, right? So if you're not being effective, there's two things that can happen. Well, three things that can happen. We could have bad quality product, or we could have delays, or the budget can come up. Whether it is if it's a fixed price project, the problem is for us. If it's one bill by the hour, it's us billing you more, which is something we don't want to do. That's why this is very, very important. Communication. Thus, the team has a culture of having good communication and saying when there are problems, when something is going to be delayed, and communicate also the things that has been finished or done. And this is, another thing that it is important that in regards now to evolving as a company, and not just being stuck, is, does the company has any process to do trainings and onboard on new technologies, or train the guys on stuff that's being used on the company, or share experiences? That another one that we have there. Is this part of the culture of the company? It is important because, you want people that it is trained, that can evolve on time as new technologies and ways of doing stuff develops over time. Okay. Things you should get as part of your service. This is also important. You're not just sometimes hiring a team that's going to work with you or your project. There should always be, and one should always ask when we're hiring someone, is there anyone that I could talk with and escalate things that could follow up with, to have somewhere else to talk besides just project manager or whoever is on the team. This is really important. And the second part is this thing that we have here, which is when you're working with a technology partner, even if you're just working with a developer or a small part of a team of the company, you also get, let's say, access indirectly to the whole technical people that it is behind. And this happens here internally, right? So whenever someone has a problem with something, they go to our group channel and they ask to see if someone has experience with something. So even though they're not on the project, someone can guide someone else that has a trouble with something. And at the end, the whole team, it's more effective, right? Because instead of spending 10 hours trying to figure out how something works, someone else that has done it could explain you in 15 minutes and continue with your work. So that's also important. And I think that's it. So thanks for saying and listening to the talk. I don't know if there are any questions.
No, actually, I think everything has been like very clear. So I just want to thank you, Diego and Juan, for your time, for being with us and sharing this knowledge. So, okay, this is the end. Thank you so much and have a nice day and a pretty good weekend. Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.